All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started tonight. Like I said, my name is Shelby Pierce, school counselor here at the high school. And I'm just going to kind of go through what to expect for you guys in the registration process with taking part in the next couple days here. If you have any questions, you're welcome to send them directly to Alicia Sapi in the chat. Like I said, she'll be kind of fielding those questions while I'm busy talking and going through the information tonight. And then at the end, we'll kind of go over those questions that are placed in the chat box if Alicia can't answer them to you directly. So go ahead and place those to her. Tonight, what we're really going to talk about is the program of studies itself, what the graduation requirements look like, as well as planning for life after high school, which seems a long ways away, but unfortunately, it's right around the corner. Our extracurricular activities and offerings here at the high school, what classes you'll take as a ninth grader, what the process will look like over the next week and a half, as well as just kind of go through some of the course programming we offer here at the high school. Today, all students received a folder with information from their teachers, including a ninth grade course sheet. This is a white document in their folder. And this document is just going to show all the courses that are available for students in ninth grade to take. So there are a ton of offerings on here. We're actually really excited. A lot of our classes opened up to be 912 this year. So there are lots of options to choose from as you're working through your registration. The second sheet is going to be green. This is just simply our timeline for what the week's going to look like and when we'll have things completed. So tomorrow, during the school day, I will be over working with the students on their request for ninth grade year. And then on Wednesday, we'll be working through their 4-year plans. A couple things different between those two things. Tomorrow's requests for next year, those are actually picking classes they want to take. The 4-year plan is simply just planning out what they might want to take over their next 4 years and will absolutely change. This is a requirement set by the state that we do with students just to get thinking about long-term planning and can be a great tool, but know that it is not officially locked in for any other grade other than ninth grade year. And we'll reemphasize that with students as the week goes on. There's a pink sheet in their folder. And this is for more of those people who like the hands-on paper pencil option. So these are showing what core classes are required to take here on the left-hand side, and then a place to write down elective courses as well as alternates. And we'll talk all about that here in a little while, but that's if you want to write things out. And then your program of studies, which is our official document for course offerings at West Delaware High School. This document is also available online under the high school tab on the West Delaware homepage. So a couple things to know about how the high school operates. We run on 4 periods a day instead of 8, so a block schedule, meaning about 88 minutes per class. For our class offerings, a traditional class you think you would take all year round, like a math, science, social studies, English class, those are going to run for half a semester. So those are a 2-term class, run for half the year. Sorry, I apologize that. A 1-term class runs for 1/4 of the year. So a little bit shorter options just based on different credit requirements. We do have 10 minutes of passing time in between classes, and our teachers use a lot of time within the block to work on reteaching as well as work completion time. So trying to work one-on-one with students to make sure that they're understanding and meeting the needs of where they're at. When we get into the program of studies, like I mentioned, you have one in your folder sent home to your students, as well as on the West Delaware homepage. You'll find a whole list of the graduation requirements. This is also found on the back of the pink sheet that is in your folder. So if you look at the graduation requirements, you'll see what courses are required over their 4 years to graduate with that West Delaware diploma. In the area of English, they'll take 8 credits, including English 1, 2, and 3, and 2 English electives. Math will be Algebra 1 or Integrated Math 1, Geometry, Integrated Math 2, Algebra 2, Integrated Math 3, and Statistics or Statistical Analysis. In the science department, there are 6 credits required, including science interactions, biology, and chemistry. And then in social studies, all students will take global studies, U.S. history, intro to psychology or intro to sociology, and American government. PE is required 4 years, so 1 a year, or 4 credits. And then there's additional requirements of CPR, as well as our student career ready skills and their portfolio completion. This work is a great addition to our graduation requirements these past couple of years, and this is our first year of our seniors requiring to complete this new graduation requirement, which will include a work-based learning experience done by the student, and you can see some examples on that sheet as well. This is something we'll touch more on later, but just kind of a heads up as what is expected from your students over the next 4 years. Grade points are based off of student grades, and you'll see the ranking system here. Know that students will have a cumulative GPA that goes accumulates over the 4 years they're in high school. We have 4 grading periods a year at the end of each quarter, so every roughly 8 weeks. And then at the end of the year, students will have earned a total of 20 credits counting towards their GPA. We really want to emphasize the importance of attendance. We know that school is very important, and at the high school, it changes a little bit in the terms of our classes are moving at a faster pace on that block schedule. So we kind of like to tell students if you're missing one class period on an eight period day, it's 45 minutes. But when you're missing one period on a block schedule, it's the equivalency of missing almost 2 days. So we really want to make sure that we're taking care of attendance. If it's a concern now, start building some good habits, talk with teachers, school counselors at your building about how you can make that possible, and just know that we're always here to help. So when we talk about attendance, making school a priority, helping your child stay engaged, we know that when they feel connected to school, they have more desire to be at school. So getting involved in those activities outside of school that are connected to the school can really be a positive influence on student attendance. Like I said earlier, communicate with the school if you are having concerns with attendance. Please reach out. We're here to help as much as we can and make school a positive environment for everybody. When we talk about choosing our courses for next year, we really want students to be aware of the balance that they have while challenging themselves at the same time. We want to make sure they're choosing courses that they're interested in and that they enjoy the learning process. We have a wide variety of classes here at West Delaware that we're really fortunate to be able to offer to our students. So we encourage students to step outside their comfort zone and try something new. You never know what you're going to like until you try it, and we have lots of offerings available to students to do that. A couple other things while you're looking through courses over the next 4 years and for next year. We want to take a couple minutes to talk about college admission requirements. Like I said, it feels like it's far off, but we're kind of starting planning and paving those roadways now. So in their program of studies, you'll find the college admissions requirements table. And we just want to highlight a couple of things. Concepts courses in the science department do not count for a 4 year regent or state school. So when we talk regent schools, we're looking at Iowa, Iowa State, and UNI. But we do want to emphasize that they do count towards going to a 2 year community college. So with that being said, admissions at these colleges have requirements that you must complete in high school to be eligible to enroll in their university or institution. And those are all listed on that requirements table in the program of studies. They will also all be noted on each class. So as you're looking through courses in the program of studies, you'll see that there'll be noted of a RAI approved course or an NCAA course approval, which we'll talk about that here in a second. We also want to emphasize that world language generally needs to be in the similar years in the same language. So for many colleges, especially those 4 year institutions, they do require some sort of world language to be taken, not necessarily for admission to college, but for graduation from that institution, in which they will accept high school world language to fulfill that. So we always encourage students, if a 4 year school is in your plan in the future, taking world language is a great step, and at least a minimum of 2 years would be the best recommendation. Along the lines of college admission, we like to talk early on about the RAI calculation for those 3 state schools in the state of Iowa. And this is the calculation that is used for that. We like to talk about this now because core courses are a big piece of the RAI calculation. So in order to improve your RAI score, we highly encourage to take RAI classes because the number of classes will impact your RAI score. So those courses include math, science, social studies, English, and world language. And like I mentioned previously, they are noted in the program of studies under each course. So you have an idea of what course might fulfill those. And like I said, this is the table you'll see in the program of studies of all the courses accepted to Iowa Regent schools for admissions. Similar to RAI, students who are planning to participate in college level athletics and Division I, Division II, or NAIA have to have different requirements as well. When we look at D1, 2, and 3 athletes, they'll be looking at courses based from NCAA. These courses are also listed in the program of studies, And I would say we're very fortunate that our graduation requirements highly align with NCAA requirements for Division One, Two, and Three admission. So just keep that in mind if college athletics is in your future. Maybe considering taking some of these courses and looking at these as options in your ninth grade year. With ISAS right around the corner, we can't take enough time to emphasize their importance and what it means to our students in our school. For many of our courses here that are offered concurrently, which means offered for college credit through our local community college, NICC, they do require students to be proficient on their Iowa assessments. So with that being said, we highly encourage students to do their best, come here at the end of March, beginning of April on those ISAS scores so that they aren't being held back from taking any classes they might want to take. Another great tool as we talk about the future is that we do have different pathways in partnership with NICC that have been created in the program of studies. So what these pathways do is simply outline some good classes to take at West Delaware that will help you go into a degree in any of these areas listed on your screen. This is an example of what those look like. So it can kind of tell you, yes, I'm thinking about going to automotive at NICC or really any institution. These are some good classes I might consider taking that might be required when I'm at that school earning my AA degree. Along those lines, we're very fortunate at West Delaware to have several concurrent enrollment offerings, and these are offered to students in a couple different ways. Our dual credit options are where college credit coursework through NICC, our local community college, but they're taught by West Delaware instructors on West Delaware campus. So these may be offered in the areas of math, applied science, agriculture, English, and business. The second option is what we call placement in college credit courses, or PICC. These are college credit courses that are taken online format through NICC, and they're taught by NICC instructors. They're offered through students grade through 9 through 12, but we highly encourage students to really think about the type of learner they are and where their level of independence lies. For those PICC courses, there isn't going to be a face-to-face person every day to check in with you and to keep up on how you're doing. And we like to tell students in those classes, you're a college student first, high school student second. So with that being said, it's just a great conversation to have about if you're interested in those classes, when is a good time to start taking those classes over your 4 years, and how will they look going into your college. So if you have questions on those things, find me tomorrow when we're in class and we can talk more about it. Going on with concurrent enrollment, we just want to be sure that both offerings do earn college credits. Like I said, they're registered as an NICC student and they start their college transcript. These classes have high level of rigor and independence, and there are some things there just to consider when taking them. Do I procrastinate? Do I stay organized? Am I comfortable talking with someone, with an adult that I'm really not familiar with? Um, it's important to know that, like I said, any concurrent offering class, whether it's offered in person at West Delaware by West Delaware instructor or one of those PICC offerings, it is starting your college transcript, meaning that any grade you earn will be noted on that college transcript wherever you're looking to go for your post-secondary education. With that being said, also has implications on financial aid and other things along those lines when you go on to college. So just some things to think about. Amazing opportunities. We have a lot of students who are very successful in them and they set them up for success going on past high school. So if you have more questions, just reach out. Okay, so changing gears a little bit, we have extracurricular activities. We're really fortunate to have so many different groups as part of West Delaware High School, and we encourage all students to try something, whether it's an athletic event to being a stage crew for the musical or for the play. There's just so many different ways to get involved on so many different levels. So definitely take advantage of those opportunities while you're here. Okay. Now we're going to jump into the fun stuff here. We're going to look at courses. So if you want to pull out your additional ninth grade courses, so that little cheat sheet, it looks like this one here. We're going to kind of go through some of the offerings and just talk briefly about them. Your students did have some time with their teachers today to go in depth on more of these classes and take some time reading over the descriptions, but we're just going to touch base for parents here tonight, okay? If you also want to grab that draft worksheet, looks like this one. You can follow along and maybe start putting some stars next to some classes that you're interested in taking. So as we're going through them tonight and you're kind of like, oh yeah, that one sounds interesting. Maybe put a P next to it or sorry, if it has a P next to it, it means it's a prerequisite. But if you're going through it tonight, you're like, oh yeah, I like this class, go ahead and put a star next to it. So you can come back to it and look at it deeper once we meet with you tomorrow, okay? So when we're looking at the registration process, we can't emphasize enough that these are simply requests. Mrs. Atwater and I work very, very diligently, moving forward past this step to do our best to meet every student's request. With that being said, that's not always possible as we may be having a class that's only offered one time a day that lines up with another class, that lines up with another class. It's a giant puzzle. We work really hard to do our best to get everyone the classes they want, but sometimes we have to pull from alternates. So those alternates are going to be those backup choices that students might be placed in as well in terms of their primary requests. So just because you're selecting classes in this process doesn't mean you're guaranteed them, but we do emphasize that we do our best to try to make that happen. Okay. So starting in our first Department of Agriculture, Natural Food and Natural Resources, these are a list of classes that are offered to our incoming freshman students. Ag exploration is a requirement of students who are participating in FFA. So if you're interested in being involved in FFA, know that you have to request and take agriculture exploration. Other classes we offer ag business, ag issues and perception, ag marketing, horticulture, and wildlife conservation management. We do encourage students, if FFA is a part of your plan for while you're in high school, that you do have to take an ag class every single year. So don't heavy load them all up because you're excited to take them. You have plenty of time and we'll need to have one over the course of every year if you're planning to participate in FFA. Our next department is that Applied Science and Technology. Here we have all of our autos, welding, construction classes available. So we have auto ownership, which is a great introduction course to owning a car, something we hope to all do someday. Autos 1 is a college credit concurrent offering with NICC. Our CAD exploration is computer-aided drafting. Construction trades has a great pre-apprenticeship program in masonry that goes along with that class. Drafting 1 and 2, exploring technology, and intro to MIG and intro to stick welding are all classes students can take as a freshman. Continuing on, we have industrial welding, which is a concurrent class through NICC. Require or highly recommend having MIG before that. Basic carpentry, woodworking, cabinet making, and wood production. We're very fortunate to have two apprentice programs and one pre-apprenticeship program within our applied sciences. So students who are interested in going into the automotive industry as well as the welding industry can start their career paths right now in high school, potentially earning an apprenticeship space while they're here working, earning money, and getting prepared for the field they want to go into after high school. Art, we have several offerings as well. One thing to note is that our ceramics class and photography are offered every other year. So students in ninth grade would have the opportunity to take ceramics 1 and 2 their freshman and junior year, and then potentially could take photography and their sophomore, senior year. So just be mindful that those do change every year, but loads of options in that department. Once again, we have a lot of students who love taking art classes. We encourage you to spread the love over your 4 years and not request all of them right away in your freshman year. Our business, finance, and marketing department looks a little different at the time. Currently, we do not have a business instructor, although we're trying to find one. With all of our business classes right now, they're currently being offered online as dual credit through NICC. So students who'd be interested in taking global business would be taking an introduction to business class online independently through NICC. Thinking back to those previous slides, just what kind of learner are you? Is that setting you up for success? Are you comfortable being independent? Some things to think about if you are requesting that class. Should we hire a business instructor between now and being the school year? We would be able to offer those classes in person, but for right now, we are going with the notion and just the information that those classes will be offered online. Driver's education, although it's not a class offered during the school day here, we do have information about the sessions offered in the spring for West Delaware students at West Delaware. We do know it as a credit or a half credit on students' transcripts just for documentation purposes, but we do not offer it during the school day as a course. Computer science is new to West Delaware. We're excited to offer these classes. I was sat in on one today and learned quite a bit in the short time I was in there. But our offerings include principles of computer science, cybersecurity, game development, intro to programming language 1 and 2. All great options if you're interested in going into the computer science field. English is our first core department that comes up. in our list. So every student next year will take English 1 or Advanced English 1. One of those offerings is required. Both count towards high school graduation. In addition, like I mentioned earlier, students will be required to take 2 credits of elective courses in the English department that can be scattered in any part during their 4 years. So it's a great thing to look at in your freshman year as a class maybe to get crossed off the list, knowing that you're going to have to take 2 of them somewhere. And those classes are all listed here: contemporary literature, film and literature, workplace communication, public speaking. Students can choose to take English too if they want to work ahead, but know that it is not required in their freshman year. We offer Health 1 and Health 2 for students interested in learning more about healthy lifestyles. And we offer several courses in the human services. So Foods 1 and Foods 2, parents highly encourage you to get your kids to sign up for that one so they can cook you some meals at home. They cook some really good stuff down there. Our housing fundamentals class, human growth and development, and parenting. For math, all students in their freshman year will take a math class, whether it is Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra, Integrated Math 1, or Integrated Math 2. So some students are taking advanced math classes right now, so that'll kind of depend on determine what the next class you'll take, but I would say most students are going to take Algebra 1 or Integrated Math 1 next year. Integrated math classes 1, 2, and 3 are the same content as Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. One thing with those integrated math classes is they are a great fit for students who may not have the strongest, may not be the strongest in math. They go a little slower in depth, go a little more ingrained into the content, and just are met for those students who just need a little more extra time and support in the math department. Great courses, count towards graduation, are also RII approved. Physical education, we require students to take a PE class every single year. And this year we actually have a new offering in the PE department of performance PE, performance physical education. So students will choose between those 2 offerings. The descriptions are located in your program of studies, and we'll talk more about those tomorrow with students. Project Lead the Way, we offer Intro to Engineering Design or Principles of Engineering. Our science department, all students will take science interactions next year, and there are a few elective classes students can take as well as astronomy, environmental science, biology, or concepts of biology. I would say it's very common for most students to take biology in their sophomore year, chemistry followed in their junior year. For social studies, all students will take 2 terms of global studies and have offerings in other elective credits such as Intro to Psychology, Sociology, Modern American History, Modern Social Problems, Regions of the World, or U.S. History. Once again, I would say it's very common for sophomores to take U.S. history, and then kind of sprinkle in those electives as they go. The only 2 required electives on this page is going to be Intro to Psychology or Intro to Sociology. Going back to those graduation requirements, one of those 2 is required sometime in the 4 years before graduation. For students who are currently involved in the TAG program, if you're interested, there we do offer TAG Seminar, which works closely with Mr. Mosier on some independent projects and learning. So if you are interested in that, talk with Mr. Mosier for some more details and see if it's a good fit for you. Okay, world language. We're lucky enough to offer both French and Spanish, all the way up to French and Spanish 4 and 5. So lots of opportunities to grow that skill set. And like I said, kind of based on what interests is of yours. I think Mrs. Sandberg actually came over and talked to the 8th grade about perks of taking world language. So you kind of already have some background there as well. Okay, so moving into music, we offer instrumental music and chorus. That can be taken in a couple different ways. So our music classes run on a skinny block during 3rd hour. So what that means is that they run for the entire school year for a 45-minute chunk of time. So students who are in any kind of music combination, whether it's instrumental music only, chorus only, or the combination of the 2, will take a different course pass in that 3rd hour block. We will walk you through this very carefully tomorrow to make sure that everyone is getting in the appropriate requests and classes that they want to take. But just know those are some great options as well. If your student has an individualized education plan, they will see a class called Skills locked in for either 2 or 4 of their elective options, depending on how much they need for their independent instruction. So we'll work with those students individually tomorrow and make sure that they have those courses requested. Okay. Alicia, do we have any questions as of right now? I'm trying my best to talk slowly. That's not a skill set of mine, but if there's any questions, we can pause for just a second to maybe answer a couple before we jump into the next portion.
We don't have any questions yet at this time. You must
Okay.
be thorough enough that, or they're catching up, one of the
Yeah,
two.
try to take a breath. Okay. So in order to request our classes, we use a system called Career Cruising. And we'll walk students through this tomorrow. So if you go to the West Delaware homepage and click on Career Cruising under middle school or high school tabs, it's going to bring you to this site. And on this site, students are familiar with it. They've used it for different things in middle school already. But the different thing we're going to do is choosing our courses there on the left-hand side. So when we get in there, this is what we're going to be working with students through very diligently tomorrow, and also on Wednesday for their 4-year plans. So students will be able to go in here and actually select the courses that they're interested in taking for next year. You'll see the yellow boxes are kind of that tan color. Those are the required courses that students will have to choose from. And then the white boxes are going to be those elective classes. So those courses that just sound fun and interesting and that students would want to take. On the right-hand side there, you're going to see that graduation tracking bar. This is a great tool to look at, especially as we're doing our 4-year plans. So as you're selecting classes, it's going to keep track of what you've met for your graduation requirements, what you still need to take, and provides more detailed information on what you're missing. So this is a great tool we'll show students how to use tomorrow and on Wednesday with their 4-year plans to make sure that they are getting everything they need for graduation. Okay. So let me... So we'll pull it up here really quick just to show you guys how it works. Mine's look a little different here. Okay, so let's go in here and look at one. So this one already has some courses filled out, something they've already worked on, but you're not by any means required to do this tonight. We'll do this with students tomorrow, but if you wanted to get it in there and take a peek at it, you're more than welcome to. So how the system works, if you click on a box, we're going to pick on English right now. It's going to take you to options that you can click on and learn more about. So as you're clicking on an option, down here in the corner, it's going to give the description. Like mentioned earlier, it's going to say if it's an REI or NCAA approved course, and then description of what the course is. If there's a prerequisite, it'll be listed here. So those prerequisites are classes you need to take prior to taking the course you have selected. And then it can show you what future courses you can take. Here, where it says delete course, would typically be an add course button. You would click that, and then it'd be added to your plan. Okay. The bottom here, you will notice there'll be some 4 shaded boxes in kind of a blue. That's where the alternate courses are going to go. So reminder, those alternate courses are pulled as backups if your primary request cannot be met. Okay. Stuff we'll talk through all tomorrow with students. You'll see over here this graduation tracking tool will continue to move over as more of their core courses are selected, which is a great way to make sure that you're on track. Okay. So like I mentioned, we'll be doing 4-year plans on Wednesday. And it's just really, really want to emphasize the fact that these are going to change, okay? They're very flexible and they are not locked in. Your 9th grade requests for next year, those are locked in, and we will start building schedules based off those requests. So we will make sure that we take that process seriously, making sure that those are really set on what those classes are. And those 4-year plans just know are very, very flexible. So don't stress about the 4-year plan. We're really mainly focused on 9th grade year, and 4-year plan, like I said, is just an extra tool, a little guidance that we can start looking at a little bigger picture. And like I mentioned, that's going to be that year 10, year 11, and year 12. We'll work on that with students on Wednesday. Okay. So just bouncing back quick to our timeline. So if you want to pull up that form, you can kind of see where we're going to be at over the next few days. So tomorrow we'll be in classrooms filling out the registration form for 9th grade year. And then on Wednesday, I'll be joining Mrs. Sapi and Mr. Harbaugh talking about those 4-year plans. This is also a great time if students have questions about their 9th grade plan or 9th grade request. We'll go back and look at those things as well. So then beginning on let's go back to the page. So on Wednesday, students will actually be able to submit their courses for ninth grade year. We do not want them to submit it without having a conversation with you at home first, which is why we don't open it up for tomorrow for them to submit. So they'll have to come home with you, have a conversation, and then Wednesday is when they can start submitting those courses. Okay. So like I said, Wednesday we'll be in there with students again. We can answer questions about ninth grade year, but we'll be working more so on that 4-year plan. So on Monday, March 3rd is when course requests are need to be completed. So we're asking that they're all submitted and that your online 4-year plans are completed as well. From there and throughout the rest of the week this week, I'll be bouncing in, available for questions for students as well as going through their requests, making sure that they have stuff requested correctly, that there's no major errors, they aren't requesting music incorrectly or things like that. So we'll be there a lot this week to help them throughout that process. So Friday, March 7th, we are going to have our copy of your registration form that we're going to send home with your student. And then we'll have them, you return them at parent-teacher conferences the week of the 12th and 13th. Okay? So kind of give you an idea what the next couple weeks are going to look like. So just know we will do our best to keep everyone notified throughout this process. So you'll continue to get school messengers from Mr. Felderman, our current principal here at the high school, and just those reminders of when things are due, what's coming home, and have conversations with your student. Another great tool we like to tell students to think about in this process. 4 years seems like a long time, but it goes by rather quickly. So if you're interested in learning more about what careers are available in the state of Iowa, this Future Ready Iowa is a great resource to look at different job paths, even if it's maybe not conventional going to college, maybe looking at those apprenticeships or going straight into the workforce, has really great resources we like to share with families. Okay. I have finished my information for the night. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to include Alicia Sapi or connect them to Alicia Sapi, and we'll do our best to answer them. If you don't have any questions, you are welcome to sign off. We'll end our here in a few minutes, but I really appreciate everyone's time tonight. We promise this is not as big and scary as it might seem to be, but we're excited to have your kiddos with us here at the high school and start their next chapter and their 4-year journey. Okay, so please reach out with questions. Let us know if you have any. Is there anything coming through right now, Alicia?
No questions at this time?
Okay, we'll stay on for a few minutes. We'll end our recording now, but if anybody has any questions, please reach out. Thank you for being here tonight, and we'll keep you posted. We'll be in touch. Have a good night, everybody.
There'll be one question that just came through. Are electives on a first come, first serve base or online submittal?
Yes, so students in this process, it really isn't necessarily first come, first serve. What we do is we take all of the electives, grades 8 through 11, and we dump them into the system, and then the system just starts to build. So yes, there's no priority. We do start working through schedules, seniors down, making sure they're getting all the requirements that they need. But I wouldn't say, no, this process is not, if I get it done first, I give the classes I'm wanting, if that answers the question. So another question coming through, it's not guaranteed to get into certain electives. And that is correct. So like I said, these are simply requests that we do our absolute best to try to meet those primary requests in the top elective section. That's why we encourage students to have those 4 alternate classes that allows us some options to pick from should their primary request not be available. Another question about art classes. Are there any other art classes that are not available every year? It's just going to be that ceramics and photography. Those just alternate every other year based just off our ability with teachers we have. So, yep, those are the only ones. Everything else will be offered hopefully every year. No other subjects? No. So the question clarifying, all other subjects are taught. The thing is, it would be if we had a low request for classes, say for instance, we only had 2 students request public speaking, we might not run that section just because of there's not the demand for it.
Shelby, in case anybody else happens to be on, we had a couple people just ask that, some sickness and stuff running around. What if my kid isn't there, isn't a part of something? And I think just responding to everybody that is still listening that between Mrs. Pierce and Mr. Harbaugh and myself, we'll get them pulled and caught up and taken care of. Nobody's going to miss getting registered.
Yes, we will all, everyone will have a schedule. Like I said, thank you everybody for being here tonight and taking your time to listen with us. Any questions, feel free to reach out. We'll be around the next several days to help you guys out. So thanks everybody and have a good night.